So in this video we'll be creating a slideshow. So what are slideshows? Slideshows are just collages of picture creatively put together in motion to tell a story. Now I would like you to go to your exercise folder and then double click on your slideshow exercise. As soon as you do that, you realize that it is actually empty, so we're going to build everything from scratch. There are two ways at which you can import your images. You can come here and double click. Just double click on this, and to ask you where do you want to import your images from, there you select and you click on open and that goes. The other way is this: you just go to your file explorer, or in my own case Finder, and then I'll just select all the image that I want and then I drag in my project, and then you can see that all my images are here. So if you want to use your own images, I would advise you do that, but for this lesson I've actually imported some images already, so you might not need to worry about that. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete this because I have them already. And where will you find them? You find them in your footage, in your footages, then your images, and then you see them here. Alright, but if you want to use your own images, right, you can go ahead and do that. But for the sake of this class, I'm just going to stick to what I have already. So I finally imported all my images. I have my image 01. I actually renamed them in the project panel so that to be quite straightforward. So the very first thing I want to do is to create my background. Remember, if I toggle this, this is transparent. It's actually an empty composition. So I'll come here, right click on this empty space here, right click, go to new, then solid. And then I can just go ahead and rename this to background. And then click OK. Now I have my background. I'm going to click out and I'm going to drag my first image. I'm going to drag and put on top of my solid. And you realize that this image is actually quite big. So even if I click on this and set fit, the image is actually bigger than the composition. And the reason is simple. If you go to my image and if you look at your top right, you see the details of the image. The image size is 3864 by 2577 pixels. It's actually way larger than our composition. Our composition, remember, is 1920 by 1080, and this is about almost twice of that resolution. So how do we go about this? The simple solution is to press S, click on your image and press S and scale it down. Right, scale it down just enough to fit in the composition. So I'm going to close this up. I'm going to apply my first animation to this image. So I'm just going to assume that I'm working with 3 images and I'm going to make a slideshow out of these 3 images. Of course, normal slideshow takes more than 3 images, at least most of the time. But right now I'll just be working with 3 images. So this is my first image, and I want a solution whereby I want the image to slide in from the left, the second image to come down from up down to the composition, and the last image should come from the right. Alright, so I have my first image here, and I want this image to slide in from the left to the right in about 2 seconds. Just like we've been doing to our shape layers, to our text, you can also do the same thing to your images. So I'm going to click in exactly 2 seconds. So I want it to be here in 2 seconds, and I'm going to press P. Let me close that for now. Let me open up my image. You see that we have the same transform. Practically everything that makes up your layer has transform properties. So I just wanted to show you that. Then you can now press P to set in your position in 2 seconds. Then in 0 seconds, I take my time indicator back to 0 seconds, and then I can click here and then drag it off the screen. Let me drag it well. So now I have this. If I play this, I have this very boring animation. Now the reason why you will see that my playhead was very slow is because After Effects is trying to render. If you notice, you see that there's some gap before we now start seeing the green. Until you see that all of this timeline is now green, it will not play in real time. That's just the way After Effects works. So I'm going to put this here. I'm going to, let me put it at 4 seconds, then trim my work area. So I'm going to just trim it here, put this back here. Of course, I like to apply my easy ease. There are things you know already. Go to my graph editor, align this, then just do this. And if I play this, can you see that my timeline is not green? And if I play this now, it will not really play smoothly, right? But guess what? Let's fill the whole timeline and let it go again. You see that it will play smoothly. And even after you still do this and you're still having challenge, because this thing depends on your system performance, just change your resolution from full to half. This half is not cutting. Then maybe keep playing and realize that it still keep jerking even when it's on full grain. Then you can just take it from half to quarter. But what that does is it reduces the quality of your preview. So let me do that again. Check out the full resolution. Can you see that all my images are actually quite sharp? So if I put it on quarter, you will lose the quality. It will look more pixelated. That's because After Effects is trying to do the best possible way to play your footage really fast. For the sake of this class, I'll just say put it on half. Half will do just fine. So I'm going to just take this back and then play again. Right, now we have our first image. We need to introduce the rest of the image as well. So I'm going to take my image 2, drag and put it on top of my image 01. Let me close this. I think this just fits well, image 2, and the reason why you cannot see image 1 is because of course image 2 is on top of it. And in this instance, I want this to come from the top down. I'm going to take my time indicator to 2 seconds, press position, set this position, and then go back 0 second and drag this up. Right, as I'm dragging it, I'm holding down shift so it's not move the way I don't want it to. And of course, align this to easy ease. Alright, then just scratch it that way. And if I play this, you can see that the two are playing at the same time, right? So what I would do is this: on the image 1, I'll press U, and I can see all the keyframes. Now I'll take image 2, I'll stagger it. So I want a situation whereby it will reveal in 2 seconds, then wait for another 1 second, and then another image will cover it up. So I've zoomed in a way that I can see I can see every second. So I'm going to take this down to 3 seconds. Then I'm going to drag this image 2. I'm going to drag it to about 2 seconds. Right? So if I zoom out and play this again. So let me fit the screen so you can see zero. So trim my work area. I'm using N to trim it. So let me play this again. Can you see? Can you see that we now have something really interesting? So I'm going to do the same thing for my third image. So this image 03 here, I'm going to just drag it on top. Then go to my positioning in 2 seconds. Don't worry about what we have underneath. Just go ahead and add your animation. Take it back. So I want this to slide from the left. Take this, and then of course a light. Ease. Apply a curve. Take this out, and can take this back further. I can zoom in some more to see my second. I can drag this back. So let me see. So this is supposed to be 1 second. So by 6 seconds, I should have this. So if I play this now, I have this. So let me just split the screen. So this is actually not new to you. It's practically what we've been doing with the shape, right? We're just applying the same principle of animation with the pictures. This is the first step of creating your slideshow. In the next video, we'll be developing more on the slideshow.